this episode, we're closing out the year by zooming in on one of the biggest shifts RTM has ever made, transitioning from an office-based structure to centers of excellence. I'm joined by 4 RTM leaders, Kathryn Duytschaever, David Piluski, Matt Whisler, and Larry Kaprielian, to talk about why this change was made, what it actually looked like in 2025, and what this will unlock as we head into 2026.
I'm Kathryn Duytschaever, your host for Beyond Engineering, a podcast from RTM Engineering Consultants, where a genuine devotion to people and their passions empowers us to grow together, lead with integrity, and make a meaningful impact.
Hello, everyone. So today I have the very special, wonderful privilege here to introduce you to 4 leaders at RTM, and we're going to have a conversation around the centers of excellence at RTM. So to just introduce David Piluski, Kathryn Duytschaever, Matt Whisler, and Larry Kaprielian. Thank you so much for being here for this conversation. So today we'll dive into things like, why did RTM transition to organizing under the Centers of Excellence this year? We'll recap the why, the lessons learned, the benefits gained, and then also talk about what this unlocks for RTM going into 2026. So starting first is a chance for everyone to say hello, and please share where are you located and your current COE or role within RTM. And I think, Larry, let's put you on the spot.
All right, good. Okay. I'm Larry Kaprielian. I'm located here in Irvine, California. I'm the leader of the Structural Engineering Center of Excellence. And in addition to that, I support the operational functions here in the Irvine office.
Thanks, Larry. Matt, how about you?
Matt Whisler here. I'm in the Schaumburg headquarters office, and I'm the leader or integrator of the civil COE with about 60 people.
And David?
Yes, hi. Dave Piluski. I'm also in the Schaumburg headquarters office. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I'm the leader integrator for the industrial and healthcare COE.
Wonderful. And Kat?
I'm Kathryn Duytschaever. I'm out of our Davenport, Iowa office, and I'm one of our directors of operation, and I oversee the operation side of RTM with our COEs.
Wonderful. So Kat, let's open this up, and I'll send this question to you first. Is why did RTM make this change of going towards organizing under centers of excellence, which you all COEs for short from here? But why was that change made in 2025?
So leading up to 2025, we saw that through our accelerated growth, we had quite a bit of knowledge across RTM in many different offices that we weren't effectively sharing between teams. We had pockets of different niche markets like institutional, commercial, or industrial healthcare, civil, structural, all of these, and they were kind of just housed right there in their office, not sharing the information, not on purpose, but we wanted to bring a collaborative front to RTM, and we thought, let's start restructuring from offices into these centers of excellence to bring the knowledge together, to start sharing it and collaborating together. So January 1st, 2025, we did a restructuring at RTM to bring these centers of excellence forward.
Yeah. And that's a huge change for a company of RTM size. I mean, that's not an easy or small undertaking. What was the leadership or what was the org structure before?
Before that, we had studios that went into offices, and then we had offices grouped together into business units. And that worked very well for us for about 6 years as we grew. But then we looked to go back to the studios, where studios were grouped together typically by like projects. When we say like projects, commercial-based projects, industrial projects, healthcare projects. So we were able to go back down to that foundation and then regroup the studios together across the nation into these centers of excellence.
And so how, to anyone, how did this rollout even begin in 2025? How do you create that level of change? Because RTM has how many now? How many locations? Is it 26?
We have 28 locations. Those are US locations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not even touching our global talent.
Right.
Yeah, so it was, in order to get it rolled out for the beginning of 2025, we really had to begin um, midway through 2024 and start working on it. Civil and structural had gotten a head start, and they were kind of like our beta test for the whole thing. And in the fall, we used the success of that to roll it out to our mechanical, electrical, plumbing teams nationally, and start to put the people in place that were going to lead those efforts. And by the end of 2024, we felt like we were ready to roll it out, and we did so. And it was challenging, but it was a big success as far as bringing those, as Kat had said, the similar teams, the offices where studios were working on similar projects, but weren't necessarily collaborating on a daily basis. They'd collaborate if they needed to based on workload at times, and we would share work. But what the COEs brought is a continuous collaboration to where we're meeting on a weekly basis and discussing workflow and utilization and where it's best to place projects. So it's very continuous now, and it's not just reaching out when somebody's overloaded or somebody's looking for work. Everybody's leveling off resources on a weekly basis.
Yeah. And for the structural COE, I mean, we're located in three locations or three offices: Irvine, California, Springfield, Missouri, and Fort Myers, Florida. And even though we're one discipline, which is different than the MEP team, we're one discipline, all three of the offices were mergers into RTM within the last 3 years. So we were all three offices were working independently. So for us, it was, us all working together more collaboratively following the rollout.
And Larry, what did that actually look like? What does collaboration look like on a weekly basis then in 2025 versus when you were all operating independently?
Yeah, I mean, we're now doing some work sharing with resources. We have, we've hired people to work in Irvine that are working with people in Springfield, and people that are working globally that are working with Fort Myers. And so that's more the collaboration that we're doing now.
Weaving the work together. That's
Yeah.
excellent. And Matt, how about you? I'm curious, and I want to ask this next question to you first. What was the most unexpected element of this change this year for your group?
Unexpected would be, well, change is a fear to any engineer. So we've overanalyzed.
And you guys are great at it at RTM, though, I will say.
The leadership keeps us on the seat of our pants at all times. But, really unexpected was kind of the opportunity that it gave staff, and they began to see that career growth was there, that new opportunities were there. When, similar to Larry, we're one discipline, civil engineering, and we had 6 offices that really kind of focused on their own work. Maybe it was all locally, maybe some of it was stretched across the country, but we were able to actually shift staff around also. So engineers that were working on a type of project that they really didn't find excitement in, we were able to transition them to new studios, offer new opportunities for them. And in the same method, if we had too many people at a certain level in an office, we were able to separate them and distribute talent. So it was employees able to see an area for growth. They're just not waiting for their project manager to advance or the project engineers to advance. They could see like where they can go, and we can develop teams around them.
Which is very core to RTM, the idea that people have the chance to be autonomous in seeing opportunities and then going for them if possible. So other comments on what was unexpected about this, about what occurred after this change?
I think for me, I would add that, unexpected in a positive way is that, people learned a lot more about what was going on with RTM nationally and what other offices were doing. even if we were working in the same market verticals in two different offices, there was a very um, regional closed off feel to it, that, doing healthcare in a certain state is so different than in another state where, local codes and regulations do apply in that respect. But, in general, hospitals and medical facilities are built, under the same guidelines. So that was able to really open up some eyes that, that we can work together nationally and just open up opportunities to where we had a much bigger, resource base to build off of. And the opportunity came along then to bring in larger projects because the teams were immediately larger.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How
One
about,
of the one of
go
the
ahead, Larry.
unexpected things that happened for us was that when we were sort of organizing our COE at the end of 2024, we were really only two offices at that time, and we had organized it in such a way that we would be able to sort of integrate an additional merger into the firm, knowing that may happen sometime in the future. And then in December, they said, "Oh, by the way, we're merging with an office in Fort Myers, Florida." So, okay, well, we were able to. I guess our work paid off because we were able to integrate them in, and it's worked out. It worked out really well for us. So that was. It was expected that we could do it, and it was unexpected it was going to happen so quickly. But it did work pretty well for our COE.
Wow. So then was that the first test subject of
Yeah, it really was.
COE
Yeah.
having to like absorb a merge and figure
Yeah.
out how it was going to integrate with the new
Yes.
structure?
Right.
Very cool. Then
And I
can
think
see
that's also one of the benefits I think of the COE. It allows us to, be able to scale up our operations to with additional mergers and acquisitions in the future.
yes, that makes a lot of sense, knowing that RTM's trajectory is mergers and acquisitions. Kat, how about you? Like, biggest benefit realized from this, and was it expected or wasn't it?
So going in to this restructuring, the hope was to just bring all of the good from the teams together to learn from each other. And with that focusing on the good, there was, I don't want to say not good things, but gaps that we didn't realize that we had. And those came to light, and it was quickly resolved by just bringing people together to share best practices. And so I think that was awesome because without having the COEs together, if this gap had come up when we were under the business units, it could have had a negative outcome. And instead, you had a collective group that was used to that industry, that was used to, or had somebody had encountered something like this already before, that they could help out and collaborate quickly and efficiently for the team. So that happened quicker than I expected.
That's wonderful.
And that helped reaffirm of this is the correct move. We are bringing the correct minds together to grow and build the team and make it a better team. And that's translated into all different aspects, sharing pricing of projects, sharing best practices that we've experienced with different geographical locations or national accounts or just jurisdictions of what we've run into, like, hey, with this mechanical refrigerant code that's coming about, this is how I'm addressing it, and then just sharing that knowledge across space. So
That's
it's been
significant.
good.
I mean,
Mhm.
not every firm has figured out how to unlock the latent knowledge within, especially separate groups, separate locations, and separate merging groups. That's actually quite a pain point out there with a lot of companies, obviously not even just engineering. So the fact that this occurred in the first year of organizing like this is a huge win. So any other major benefits that we want to recognize before I ask about what challenges arose?
Yeah, just to build off of what Kat and Larry have both said, as far as sharing that knowledge base and bringing the teams together. Um, as we do have new offices coming on board, new firms, it does give a place for those firms to immediately plug in and to find a place and to really become part of the team much more quickly than we had experienced in the past, we had offices that had come on, and it had taken a while because they had to find their way and find their place. And here it's an opportunity to immediately plug in and be among people that are working on similar projects, and really get that traction a lot quicker.
Sounds like it really accelerated the integration process for new firms.
Yeah, for sure.
New to RTM.
Yep.
That's great. So then let's dive into the challenges. Like, what was maybe expected or unexpected? What were the biggest bumps with this change this year?
I think one of the challenges we had was, as I mentioned, the 6 different offices that were kind of local, serving local boutique markets, getting the leaders and the staff to think outside the box that other offices can help them. Just because they're not sitting in that office, they haven't stepped on soil, and other teams have knowledge and can help each other. And the other thing that really helped connect the dots is, all of us are facing the same challenges. Somebody else may have solved that already, and we have a bigger pool of talent to ask those questions to and obtain help from.
So just to rephrase that, it sounds like one of the challenges was just creating that habit of realizing we can ask for help.
Correct.
And it's not just the people in our immediate view that are here for us.
It takes a little time to build trust also, but it's a matter of opening yourself up to do that.
Yeah. Did anybody else face that or sense that?
Yeah, we had that for sure. I had mentioned earlier, kind of the regional feel that we had, and it's not a negative shot in any way, but if somebody's used to working in a particular geographic location, they feel like there's a lot of things that are unique about that, but it really does apply nationally. Other than specific codes to that area, the base designs and concepts really carry across. So, yeah, I would agree with that as being one of the challenges. Another one was just getting the messaging out as to why this was going to be an improvement. Because one of us had mentioned, engineers don't like change. So as 2024 was wrapping up, we were, getting the messaging out there. There's going to be a change, and what does that look like? And the big question was, why are we changing? What will it look like? And a very natural question for team members was, where will I find myself? So communication became very important to get the message out as to why this was going to be beneficial, and how it aligns people for growth opportunities in a much better way than we had before, because there's so many more places for people to excel and so many more seats and hats for them to wear.
Yeah. And I think building on what Dave just said, I think that was one of the biggest challenges we had in the structural COE, was really developing the roles, responsibilities, and accountabilities of the various positions within the COE, and especially the project manager and studio leader positions, and then having a good discussion or evaluation of all our team members, and trying to get the right people in the right seats. Not everybody, some people had an idea of where they were, and then when you started looking at some of the responsibilities and things, that no, they weren't there, and some were higher, some were lower, and some were right on. But it's just defining those items, and then putting the right people in the right seats was a challenge for us.
Another challenge that nobody wants to talk about, but everybody faces, is the CAD and BIM standardization process. Every office, regional group had their own way of doing things. So
sure,
that's been an evolving target. At least we haven't solved it in the civil COE yet. We're working on it, and it's a work in progress. But it's a big challenge. And that occurs with any new M&A integration also.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's like everything from the people side of things to the nitty-gritty elements of the work and that whole spectrum. Kat, were you going to say something on all of this?
I was going to kind of build up with something that Dave had said. It's to go off of, change is hard for engineers. With this restructuring, how I mentioned before, we had studios within an office. And so these 2 studios were used to reporting to an office leader. and they were used to this chain of command, and all of a sudden now they're being asked to talk with all of these different studios and to share things. And so there was an element of fear, because there would always be the question of, do you need help, or do you have capacity to help? And it didn't matter how many times we said it with Workshare, we're trying to even the workload between everyone. We don't want one team slaving away with another team scrounging for work. We want to help each other out collaboratively. And even though we kept saying this again and again and again, it took some time for people to believe it. So they would say, you know what? I do need help. I have so much work, I do need help. Because they thought that if they said this, it would be a negative thing. Or the vice versa of, a project got put on hold, I have spare capacity. Does anyone have work to give me? People were just fearful of owning up to that information and wanted to figure it out themselves. So that was a hump for us to get past. And we still encounter that every once in a while. That we'll go to a team saying, really high hours. Is everything okay? Can another team help you? We don't want burnout occurring. We want to make sure that you're fully supported. So we still have to do check-ins, but that was a big hurdle to overcome.
That makes a lot of sense. This is normalizing a different way of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just something when you're in the same office, you can kind of tell, you might know. When you're not, you have to say it. When you're across the country, you have to be like, hey, I need help, or hey, I don't have something isn't happening.
And feel
it's
that you
not
can
a
give
fault
that
of the
into
team. It's
Yeah.
work ebbs and flows.
And know that the reporting in is a safe space. We're literally trying to safeguard
Right.
the entire COE. So Dave is looking over an entire COE of, what do you have, 121 people? He wants to keep them all happy. He doesn't want us.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Keep happy.
And so one team saying, hey, I need some help. He's just like, I have a huge group. We can get you that help. Don't do it alone. Like, he's there to support them.
Right.
You know what I think is really funny, and admirable about RTM is what a different breed of engineers you all are. Like, I mean, the fact that you're laughing about engineers don't really like change, and also that is what you attract, is like the different thinkers, right? Those who are coming in to merge with you are like, yes, I want this culture of evolution and ecosystems to help one another. So it is like, even though those changes are hard, and communicating and saying, yes, I need help, and shifting those norms is not second nature. I mean, you all are unique engineers. It's not the same everywhere. RTM does things very differently in the best in the best way. I love that you're leaning into change, and every year there's something like, what you've done here enables new change. The COEs.
And that's set by our CEO. And there's been times, and don't get me wrong, there's times that it can be exhausting to follow that fail often, fail quick, and to pivot and to try new things and say, okay, this is not working. We're going to pivot and we're going to try something else now. Just to have that spirit of just growth and entrepreneurial and improvement. So,
the natural innovation mindset.
mm-hmm.
And almost, and I when I say startup, I don't mean like startup as in new company, but it's really like that startup spirit, but within a company that's got 28 locations nationwide.
Yeah.
Which is amazing that can be done. So let's move into section 3 and talk about what this means going forward. Like, thank goodness we're now 2025 is behind us. The big evolution happened. So what does this enable? Like, what now? What's the next big edge that we get to lean into because RTM is organized like this?
Yeah, for me, what I'm seeing and experiencing quite a lot is what it means for business development and for pursuing new clients and new market verticals and just expanding our business nationally. We've had that presence. It's been a growing presence, but now with the integration into the COEs, it's a pulled together presence to where if we're going into a new market, we've got a much deeper bench, and we could show that we're all working together. It's not just saying, oh, we've got an office there, and they might be involved. We get everybody involved, and we utilize the fact that we've got this big footprint Um, and and because of the integration into the COEs, it's a smoother process.
Yes. Any thoughts on that or other things that you're seeing going forward?
I think for the structural team, I mean, I'm seeing that we're having a, more opportunity for growth for our people, more of a more defined career path, and have those opportunities. I think is just something that's really great for them.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Larry, the career path, and it's really a defined career path for each individual. We're not in a structure that you have to be a design engineer
Yes,
for 2
right.
years and then complete this program and this certificate and you advance to this next level. Uh, like people, engineers, develop differently in their careers and have special skills and specialty tasks they can handle, and we can really guide a career to that.
Right,
Just not from the
right.
technical side.
There's some that want the leadership
Yep.
position, and there's others that just want to do engineering, and others that are more that more want to do business development. So all those opportunities are there if they want them. So
Yeah, another bonus for us is it's really created a scalable model within our studios also. So the COE is completely scalable, but in our
yes, right,
studios, it's allowed flexibility for career growth that, as I mentioned earlier, with people advancing into project management roles or something else, they don't have to wait for a project manager to move up or move to another company, heaven forbid. But if we see a young rock star advancing in their careers and they're at that point, we can create a new studio for them. We could put them with a studio leader and create a team under them as they grow, and then help pass their skills down. So it's 26 will allow us to really benefit off we grew in 25 and expand our studios.
Yeah. I feel like what I hear in both of those comments around career path and business development is more nuanced customization to the situations, the people, the opportunities, the fact that you're able to be more nimble with such a large group and to be able to adapt and react to requests, to opportunities, to people's individual inclinations. That's really unique. The fact that a big company like yours can move so quickly and adapt to something like an individual's path, and that doesn't just get lost. Kat, how about you? What do you think with going into 2026? What's the next edge?
So we to build off of that, we have really looked at innovation quite a bit and been bringing that up for a lot of our engineers, coming up with the different ideas. If there's different bots that we need to be creating that can help out with design or business development. So on the institutional side, instead of having different people scour through procurement websites, we could create an AI bot to pull this from all the websites to save time and then bring to the forefront different projects we want to be chasing. So that just expedited the business development in that one COE. And so we're welcoming ideas, we're asking people, and we're showing, okay, this is an idea, and here's it come to fruition. If you want to be involved in this, let us know. If you have ideas, let us know. And encouraging that for that, just that spirit of innovation and growth for RTM. We are continuing to focus on operations going into 2026, realizing that that is our powerhouse, our operations, and finding different career opportunities for individuals, whether it's on the technical, on the operations, the business side of things, mentoring them, providing that mentorship and career guidance and steps for them. Because when people are passionate about something, they're driven. They are going to be more successful than if you say, hey Kat, you're going to learn everything you need to know about refrigerant. I'm going to say that does not interest me personally. God bless those who does.
But there's
But I'm not going to be passionate about that.
We have them.
We have them.
I'm sure you do.
And I'm not going to be efficient with that. And because I'm not passionate about it. And so that's not the best use of time. So we want to maximize all of the resources we have to get people excited to come to work and excited about doing their jobs and seeing opportunity for different ways they can pivot in their jobs to continue growing both themselves and RTM forward. 2026 is going to be good.
Sounds like it's going to be good. Just kind of like totally unleashing what's already happening and happened, but the fact that it's getting normalized, the communication kinks are becoming a new way of life, and this is how we, raise our hands and do things differently, and now really just doing so much more with what you've identified here, business development, career paths. It makes me think of that old adage about, I'm going to not get the quote right, but how we're supposed to lean into our strengths rather than go around trying to correct our weaknesses. And your life will be so much better, more
Right.
successful, more fulfilling if you do that. And you're building a company around that concept, essentially, like believing that somebody's strength is in this, and there's going to be somebody who can do this for our client, or yeah, it's just the whole thing is built that way, which I love so much about RTM.
Yeah,
Well, in developing those career paths, we've showcased this as a heads up to all of our leadership to be saying, hey, look at your teams. Start thinking about who should be going into these paths, and we can start fostering that. Because when I entered the workforce out of college, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be the smartest technical engineer. I did not think about operations leadership. That was not in the forefront. That was something that Tony Merchandani saw in me, and he fostered
Right.
that and mentored me through that. So we want to celebrate those different pathways that engineers can grow, and not just engineers. We also have, 20% of our company is non-engineers. So we want to be looking at what are the career goals for them? What can we be doing in technology and innovation? What should we be doing to make accounting more user-friendly for all of our engineers? So we are exploring those just different options and then fostering that for mentorship of just different skill sets we see in young employees at RTM. So
Wonderful. And Matt, were you going to say something on this topic?
Yeah, I say a lot of this focuses around, and we've used the term a few times already, is the right people, right seat. And that's emphasized from the very top of our organization through everyone, whatever part of the operation you're in. And it's all part of, do they get it? Do they want it? Can they do it? And we're not afraid to pivot either if we make a wrong decision. We fail and move on and learn from our mistakes. But the key is to getting the right people in the right seat, and then let them excel, let them enjoy what they do. We spend most of our adult life at work, so let's make sure they're doing something they enjoy
Right.
and get fulfillment out of.
and being okay with the conversation of, hey, you're the right person, but you're in the wrong seat. You were in the right seat last year and you've outgrown that seat, and we need to look at moving you into the
Right.
next seat.
Right.
And having that just spirit of, it's okay. You want to find yourself in the wrong seat eventually. You want to be outgrowing your seat and progressing in your career. And so it's not a negative conversation to say, hey, today you're in the wrong seat and we need to make a change. Or we've put you in this seat and it's a little too big for you right now, Goldilocks, but you will grow into this seat. And we're going to mentor you and give you training so that you can sit in that seat and thrive. So
Yeah,
those things too.
as we shifted from the office leadership model to the studio leadership model, you could see that broke down into smaller groups and allowed for more leaders, more opportunities. But if somebody was a studio leader who was really focused on project management from the scheduling side and from the technical side, and there's so many more admin accountabilities added, they don't need to take that on if they weren't interested in that. There's people that are, and to the point that we've been making here, it allowed for some shifting to where you could really break down your role into exactly, or as close to where you would want it to be moving forward.
And it sounds like your roles as leaders have become it's become even more important, an aspect of your role of identifying that for people and helping do what Tony did for Kat those years ago,
Yeah.
where it's like being able to see that opportunity where they might not even have that in their purview yet of
Yeah.
what their skill set or what opportunities are around them.
Yeah.
Does that feel like that's becoming the case now that the COEs are in place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd
Yeah,
love
I
to
mean,
hear. Oh, go
One
ahead.
of the things I was going to say is we, and kind of in a different tact, is preparing our next generation of COE leaders is really what we're looking at.
Exactly. So in the spirit of thinking about what's shifted in your role as a leader, what new edge do you need to personally lean into this year as a leader? And I'd love for each of us to respond to that. Just what new areas do you want to focus on or level up into? Or when we're thinking so much about everybody else's opportunities and growth, just that moment of reflection on where are you finding yourself having to evolve?
I'll go first.
Go
This is
ahead.
something that I'm working on personally.
That's awesome.
As an engineer, that's my foundation. I growing and leading an engineering team, I always felt leadership was having the answer or being able to quickly find the answer. And going into operations, it's not about knowing the answer, it's about asking the correct questions, asking critical questions, because I am literally surrounded by great minds for operations all the time. So it's just, why is this way? What are we doing here? What are our desirable outcomes from this? And then backing into, okay, I think this is the next steps forward by just asking those critical questions versus having an answer and being okay with not having the answer right away. So that's something I'm personally working on.
I love that. Who's next? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I'll take it for the civil COE. So, as I mentioned, we have 6 offices that had 6 office leaders that were managed differently in every location and a different leadership style. But for the most part, the offices operated in a leader-follower model, which is kind of natural. The office leader, the president of the company, was a leader and everybody followed. So the COEs opened that up so that we can use a leader-leader model that everyone's supporting each other, everyone's making decisions, supports a bottom-up change through the whole organization. Because we value everyone. There's, as Kat said, we have some tremendous minds on this team, so we have to utilize it. So a big focus for me for the next year is completing that transformational change to get people thinking in this leader role, that you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you to do something. Come up with an idea, present it, drive it. You have the power to do that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And it's kind of natural in a way for RTM to have a business of business owners mindset.
Yes.
Because so many business owners have merged in, and to continue to, having that sense of ownership, even when they weren't a prior business owner.
Yeah.
I can see how that's a part of the culture. Larry, what were you going to say?
I think for me, it's sort of building on what Matt said, but for me, it's probably more of letting go of some things. And we have some very, very, very talented people who do great work. And, I don't need to know everything. And I think, but letting go and then mentoring the next generation, I think is just really important for me, where I see myself this next year.
I admire that. I love that. And Dave?
Yeah, for me, just looking at 2026, especially, we've spent all of 2025 kind of getting the COEs organized and structured and into, a good flowing machine. And, and as I mentioned, that started in 2024 for us. And now I think it's the opportunity to really utilize the power of what we've created, shift it up to the next year, and utilize that to, again, bring those offices together, the different groups and different studios, pursue new markets, use it as a business development tool with our clients in mind, our current clients and our future clients, to be able to really service them in a way that they're going to remember and come back to us. I think it's our power now, and we worked on it for a year, and I think we really want to see the benefits pay off, and I think they're there because we've seen it already.
Yeah, I'm hearing you speak to being able to use the momentum you've created and now use it to create value for the company.
Exactly.
Yes, that makes so much sense. I love all of these responses. And Kat, I just think that the comment you made about asking questions, and Larry too, like the wisdom of your positions as you get into this place where you get to help others find their right seats and lean into mentorship and do less, Larry. Kat, just asking more questions, more thoughtful questions, and figuring out how to uncover what needs to be uncovered so that someone else can bring up the answer. This is all so right and so very RTM. So thank you. Those are delightful things to consider for other leaders listening. And this is our time to wrap up this conversation. So let's move into what's been this past year's closing routine of a round of appreciations. So being able to just call out anything, anyone that you want to appreciate in closing.
You know
And
what?
go
I will
ahead.
go first. And
Right.
it's
Please
an
do.
appreciation. It's appreciation for the 3 men on this call, as well as other integrators and just leaders, that this past year, we've painted a picture of things have, there's been a lot of positives for the COEs. It's been hard work. It's been a lot of work. There's been a lot of feelings to manage through, and it's been done by these individuals of just talking with the teams, reaffirming that this is a good change. We're going through this. This is good for you. This is good for our COE. This is good for RTM. And so I don't want to overlook the effort that has gone in for this restructuring at all. And that is that appreciation I really have for this team.
I would say the same thing, that, the people that I've gotten the opportunity to work with, that I may not have, previously, everybody really stepped up and embraced the roles that they raised their hands for. Through the course of the year, you saw people really grow into that and build it into something more than we ever could have expected. There was a framework put forth as to what it should look like, and I think in the end, the framework remained, but we really built outside of the framework and just leaned into our strengths quite a bit, and that's all about the people that were doing it, because otherwise, if you're just reading a playbook, that's all you're going to get. But we got individual effort and talent that went into it, and just turned it into a real great thing that we could now transition and build even stronger into 2026.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be a little bit more specific. I have 3 people I'd like to appreciate. One is Tony Merchandani, our CEO, for his guidance and wisdom in creating a great company and a great place to work. I'd like to thank Rich Clark, who's one of the principals here in the Irvine office and on the corporate leadership team. He's been a great mentor to me this past year, and I really appreciate that very much. And the third one is John Miller, one of the principals in the Springfield office. He and I have worked together very closely this year on the structural COE leadership, and he's been a great partner and a great friend.
All right, I can follow up on that. It's I'll start with Rich Clark also. He was kind of one of the brainchilds of this whole COE thing and has led us through it. He was also the former, leader of the civil COE, and he's been integral in helping me transition over to the leader and offering mentorship that's invaluable. And then, as Dave mentioned, the teams have really come together. These groups across the country they're working together, they're talking together, they're helping each other out. It's from studio leader to designer. You ask somebody to do something and they know the people across the company now, and they step up and get the job done. So it's greatly appreciated.
Well, I'll close just with every time I have a chance to talk to anyone from RTM, it's this theme of you are always evolving, you're always growing. And it's like evolution brings chaos naturally, which I love that you spoke very honestly to in parts of today's conversation. But it also means that the strongest and best able to continue thriving does. And you bring that out in each other. Like you continue to highlight that in individuals. What is their strengths, and let them lead with that going forward. And you are obviously an example of a company that is thriving because of that ethos that is brought through to each individual. So just so much credit to each of you and the huge year you've had. And I know that you're just going to keep having huge years because that's the theme. But I'm very, very impressed. Thank you, each of you, for your time today. Matt, Dave, Kat, and Larry. It was a pleasure getting to learn more about this and hear from each of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the chat, Kathryn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And everyone, thanks for listening today, and tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Engineering, a podcast from RTM Engineering Consultants. To be notified of future episodes and to watch past episodes, please follow Beyond Engineering on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Until next time.